Far below the surface of the ocean, beneath the rolling waves and familiar blue shallows that humans have sailed for thousands of years, there exists a realm that feels less like part of Earth and more like a separate world entirely. A place where life no longer obeys the rules we instinctively recognize, where evolution bends, stretches, and reshapes animals into forms that appear unfinished, distorted, or even unreal, and where the deeper you descend, the more it feels as if nature itself has been quietly experimenting for millions of years, without ever expecting to be observed. Because at just a few hundred meters down, sunlight begins to disappear. Not suddenly, but gradually, fading into a dim twilight where colors dissolve and shapes blur. And this slow vanishing of light marks the first moment when familiar animals begin to change. Because vision, once the most trusted sense, becomes unreliable, forcing creatures to adapt in ways that feel unsettling to surface eyes, with some fish developing enormous bulbous eyes that dominate their skulls, not for beauty or intimidation but simply to capture the faintest possible trace of illumination, while others abandon vision altogether, allowing their eyes to shrink or disappear entirely, replacing sight with sensitivity to pressure, vibration, and movement. Sensing the ocean the way humans feel sound through walls, and even here scientists still don't fully understand how certain species navigate with such precision in complete darkness, raising the larger question of how many sensory worlds exist beyond human perception, because as the descent continues and pressure begins to increase, the ocean exerts a force so immense that rigid structures become dangerous liabilities, crushing anything inflexible. And this is where bodies themselves begin to soften, bones thinning, muscles loosening, tissues becoming gelatinous and pliable, creating animals that look melted or unfinished, creatures like deep-sea fish whose faces appear to sag, whose forms seem unstable. Yet these shapes are not failures of evolution but solutions, because flexibility allows them to survive forces that would pulverize surface animals instantly. And while scientists understand that reduced bone density and softer tissues help prevent collapse under pressure, they still don't fully know how these creatures survive sudden changes when pressure shifts, such as during vertical movement or environmental disturbances. A mystery that continues to puzzle marine biologists because the deeper environment is not just crushing but also brutally empty. A near-total desert where food is so scarce that survival depends on extremes. And in this world, scarcity reshapes behavior and anatomy in ways that feel almost monstrous. Mouths grow far larger than expected, jaws unhinge beyond reason, stomachs stretch to accommodate meals that may only arrive once every few weeks or even months, and teeth curve inward like traps designed to ensure that once prey is captured, escape is impossible, leading scientists to believe that many deep-sea animals live in a constant state of hunger, surviving on infrequent feasts rather than regular meals. Yet no one truly knows how long some species can endure without food, because observing them alive at depth remains extraordinarily difficult, and this uncertainty only deepens as the descent continues into regions where darkness becomes absolute. And suddenly, against all logic, light reappears, not from the sun, but from the animals themselves, as bioluminescence begins to dominate the ecosystem, turning bodies into living signals, warnings, lures, and disguises, with chemical reactions producing cold light in blues and greens that pierce the blackness, sometimes flashing briefly, sometimes glowing steadily, sometimes pulsing like a heartbeat. And while scientists understand the basic chemistry behind bioluminescence, what remains unclear is why it evolved independently so many times across unrelated species, suggesting that in the deep sea, light itself may be the most powerful tool for survival, whether used to attract prey, confuse predators, communicate silently, or erase shadows from below, making animals invisible in a world where being seen often means being eaten. And nowhere is this strategy more unsettling than in creatures like the anglerfish, whose glowing lure dangles like a false star in the darkness, transforming curiosity into death. Yet even here, unanswered questions remain about how these lights are controlled and whether they serve additional purposes scientists have yet to observe. Because deeper still, life encounters conditions that feel fundamentally incompatible with what we think of as biology. Environments where oxygen is scarce or absent, where poisonous chemicals seep from cracks in the seafloor, and where temperatures fluctuate violently near underwater volcanoes known as hydrothermal vents. Yet instead of emptiness, these places host entire ecosystem.